We have seen a lot of young talent excel in the NBA this season, with the likes of Zion, who's just come around, Ja Morant, who is the Rookie of the Year favorite, LUKA DONCIC, Trey Young, Jason Tatum's little stretch that he's on. And today I have Colin and Roman with me to discuss who we would build and start our franchise around in the NBA if we had the opportunity.
If we had the opportunity to. Okay, I guess I'll start. I am torn. Right now, I'm torn between two players. Mm-hmm. My two players are LUKA DONCIC and Trey Young.
You're torn between those two?
I don't know. I don't know who to pick.
All right, elaborate.
Okay. Obviously, I feel like the right choice to make is LUKA, but just something for me with Trey Young, just. I don't know, man. I think that guy, like, if you build a good defensive team around that guy, like, he can take you far. And I know that, Trey Young's defense is not the greatest. He's actually quite poor on defense. It's actually horrendous.
Yeah, he's bad.
But I just think with the amount of offensive talent and the ability to make other guys on your team better, I'm not saying LUKA can't do that.
I don't know if Trey Young has that, though.
I would say Trey Young.
I think Trey Young
one-dimensional does. In that department.
I think Trey Young is a great 3-level scorer. He's a great facilitator. Obviously, he's averaging like 8 assists this year.
So is LUKA.
Yeah, mine is.
No, I know.
Mine is
That's
LUKA.
why I'm torn. That's why I'm torn.
Mine is LUKA. Yeah.
I also want to pick LUKA, but I also want to say Trey.
Okay, here's my argument against Trey Young in this scenario. So. I've made this argument before on the podcast, but I'll make it again. If you lined up both rosters without either of them, like, okay, let's look at that. Let's look at Trey Young and LUKA Doncic's stat lines blindly. I'm going to say them. I'm not going to tell you who's who. So first one, 29.8 points, 9.4 assists, 4.3 rebounds. The second one, 28.6 points, 8.8 assists, 9.4 rebounds. You probably know who's who.
Yeah,
but they sound like very similar talent-wise in terms of their players, right? There's a case that they're about the same level.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably
They got traded for each other.
One guy, and plus a first-round pick.
Yeah.
One guy, his team is 37-24, LUKA DONCIC. The other guy, his team is 19-43. If I laid out both of their rosters in their entirety, Trey Young and LUKA DONCIC, you could make a case that Atlanta have a better roster than the Dallas Mavericks do.
I think you could make a case for that.
One team is much better than the other.
I don't want to say much better because if they're not, that's what I'm saying.
Well, read up the roster right now.
Are you implying that Atlanta has a better roster than Dallas?
Overall,
I am implying that yes, Atlanta arguably have a better roster than Dallas, yet Dallas have 18 more wins at this point.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
LUKA DONCIC, for me, has that LeBron-like ability to make his supporting cast better, to elevate the game with the way he facilitates the game. I don't know what they do, but their teams are better because they're on the court. And it's not just like the team is better because they're on the court. The other players become better players because of their presence on the court and on the team. One thing to knock against LUKA DONCIC, however, the 32% three-point percentage is abysmal, to say the least.
It's not great.
But 20 years old.
But he makes them when they count.
He's 20 years old. He makes them when he count, and efficiency, like we always say, comes with age. That will improve.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am sure. But the way he facilitates, he is very LeBron-like. There are a lot of parallels you can draw when you watch LUKA DONCIC play compared to Trey Young. And I'm not going to knock Trey Young too much. Like, obviously, I gotta have, for argument's sake, I gotta throw in Trey Young. I'm not gonna discredit him too much because I think you could have a very successful team built around him. I think that the trade that was made was a very win-win trade for both parties.
Yeah, I agree.
Atlanta got Trey Young, a guy who can, there's no market really for Atlanta basketball. He's going to build up the market. He's making Atlanta basketball popular again. You got guys like Quavo, I think it is, at every game.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's becoming like a good place to support basketball, to be a part of basketball because of Trey Young. But then Dallas, even though they gave away a first-round pick along with Trey Young, they got
Doncic.
They got stars.
Yeah.
You and me have said this guy could be an MVP one day.
That guy's a superstar,
right?
Yeah.
They both started an all-star game already. So
that's my thing. I also pick Luka, but I also want to talk about Trey. Like, I know we all pick Luka, but like, man, Trey, if you put a really, really good, long, athletic defensive team around Trey, because you can hide a guard on defense to some degree.
Curry.
Yeah.
You can definitely hide a weaker defender on a team, especially if that weaker defender is smaller, and Trey Young's always going to be guarding the small guy. I think with age, Trey Young's defense will get better. I think he needs to put on more weight.
Which he will.
Which he will with age, which will also help him defensively. Man, I just like Trey's bag.
Yeah.
3 levels.
Of course.
Dynamic. We'll just pull it from the logo.
He's got
if you need
range.
a bucket, if you're down by 20, just give the ball to Trey and watch him do work. Like, it's so fluid. It's so fun to watch. Like, I don't know, man. Trey is going to be a perennials like
all-star.
I think he's gonna set like scoring. Like, he's gonna get scoring titles. I could definitely see Trey being up for MVP. Like, he's putting up 30 and 9.5, and he's 21.
Yeah, it's insane.
That is gross, and it's clear that Atlanta, yes, they have a better team than we are saying than the Mavericks, but the record doesn't show for that, and that could be coaching, it could be poor, defense, it could be, chemistry, it could be a lot of things, but I think if you keep building pieces around Trey, wins will come.
If you want to point it to something, I'm going to point it to their draft picks are not working out. Cam's not working out, and neither is DeAndre Hunter. And that is
they're both
pieces that you try
they're
to put
both
with
not
him.
having stellar rookie years.
And John Collins was gone for.
But I think
5.
Yeah, but I think
Brain Clinton.
I said at the beginning of the year for Atlanta to like have a good season and maybe push for the playoffs, they would need to hit on some of those draft picks. They would need for some of those draft picks to perform above expectations, and they didn't get that this year.
No, I expected them to be way higher. I think I put them
you had them like fifth, Roman. You had them really high.
Here's another part of the argument I'll bring up. So you're talking about how good Trey Young can be with a cast.
Yeah.
So you've got to build your cast because of Trey Young. But with LUKA Doncic, just give him players.
Yeah.
He's just going to be good with whoever he's playing with. So that's another part of my reason. Yeah, Trey Young's great, but who's my team? My team is better equipped for a championship with which guy running point guard.
One thing I will say in the Atlanta-Dallas comparison, I think Dallas has the much better 2 option.
Yeah,
I would take
Of course.
No, I'm saying I know I would take Atlanta's depth over Dallas's, but Dallas does have also Kristaps, who is it's him. But anyways, I think I would definitely pick Luka. I think you would be stupid to pick otherwise.
Let's do it.
I think the only reason none of us are saying Zion is just because of health.
I was gonna bring it up. What do you think about Zion?
Health.
I think if he can go 2 seasons playing plus 70 games, that's a great sign.
But hey, that's terrifying because of how heavy he is.
But still, I'm just saying that is a good sign.
Okay,
I would be shocked if we ever see that.
That's a good sign.
Hypothetically, let's hypothetically, if nobody got injured, would you take Zion over LUKA Doncic?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
I don't think I wouldn't.
You think you would?
We're talking about who we want to build around.
Yeah.
Luka's gonna bring more.
I think my team is more successful. I mean, Zion Williamson probably could be a better player, but I don't know. I think I want a player like LUKA Doncic for my team.
Yeah,
in that scenario. I mean,
that's fair. Yeah.
Look, I get that wings kind of dominate in terms of titles, whether it be MVPs, whether it be Finals MVPs, like you had the fucking Splash Brothers in their prime, and Andre Iguodala won a Finals MVP, right? So I get it's driven by wings, but I don't know. LUKA Doncic, for me, I mean, he does kind of fit that winger as well. He can play as a guard. He can play as a 3.
Yeah.
So
even a small 4 if he needs to.
Yeah, as a 3. So yeah, I'm going with Luka. I think that Zion and Luka are MVPs in the future, but you don't see the kind of basketball IQ very often,
the maturity,
and what you see in LUKA Doncic.
Yeah, he's very, very mature.
I take Luka over anybody. If health is out of the question,
I would also take Luka.
But
if we're talking, sorry, go ahead.
Let's put health in the question. Luka Doncic does not need athleticism.
No.
So
He's
this
not
guy,
gonna-
this guy's gonna
Yeah.
be, I think, an Iron Man in his career.
Yeah, he's gonna be around for
He is
a
nowhere
while.
near one of the top athletic players.
So
in the
that's
league.
what I'm
No,
saying.
we're looking like a
Yeah.
Ginobili
So he
or
can
something like
play
that.
he can play into his 30s. He doesn't need athleticism. You know,
Yeah.
guys who are super athletic, they regress when they get older because they don't have that athleticism to rely on.
Yeah.
Like if Giannis doesn't get a jump shot, that guy's not going to go into his 30s. Like if he loses the
Yeah, you
athleticism.
might not. Yeah.
Well, the last time I talked about Zion, I brought up the comparison of Cousins. Because Cousins have got amazing when he came in, plagued with injury, and look what we saw. The decline slowly,
Yeah.
and slowly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like, Cousins is now, like, what, almost 30? But when Cousins was in his prime, like, 5-6 years, Cousins was
best center
arguably
in
the
the
best center in the league.
And now
Oh,
look
yeah.
at Zion. Zion is too heavy
Yeah.
for his needs.
That's why I'm saying, barring injury, I would take Zion.
Why?
Man, Zion is just such an anomaly, man. Like, barring injury, that guy, like, realistically, if you put a team around him, that guy could get, like, probably 35 a game. I think he is going to be that dominant. He already has a great skill set coming into the league. He's not raw like a lot of athletically inclined prospects have. He's coming into the league with already a lot of tools and a lot of skills in his bag. And I think that's really going to help him speed up his maturity process. And I could definitely see Zion, being even more dominant than he is now.
Yeah.
Like, he's already putting up like 60% field goal. That is just outrageous as a rookie.
But again, you can argue that the Pelicans already have a better roster around them than the Mavs do.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying
isn't
that,
Luka
yeah.
leading the league in triple doubles right now? Or
He's
one off?
either tied for or leading with
Yeah,
with
so-
Zion.
Yeah.
That's why I'm pitching my.
I know,
for
but triple
Doncic.
doubles doesn't always lead to winning.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I understand that. But if we're looking at overall player, who I'm going to take more down a 7-game stretch, I'm going with.
None
Doncic.
of us started the season with the Mavs in the playoffs.
No.
They could end up with a home court in the first round at this point.
They're doing it right.
I know they're in seventh
possible.
right now, but-
it is possible.
But like, look at how much better they've been than we thought
Yeah.
because of what Luka Doncic is doing.
I'm just saying, I think if I need a quick bucket and I need a bucket, I'm gonna give the ball to Zion.
Like I'm saying, all game, Luka runs the game.
Mm-hmm.
Zion, arguably you could say he needs a little bit of a supporting cast. He's not gonna be carrying the ball up. He's not gonna be doing everything. You give him the ball, obviously it's a fucking tank. But
Yeah.
you look at Luka Doncic. That guy runs the team,
Imagine-
and he may run the NBA at some point.
Imagine Doncic with a cast around him more than Kristaps. It would be terrifying. If he was making Powell look good before he got injured, and he was nothing special for how
He's
long
right.
this
You're
season.
right. Powell and him had a very nice
Yeah.
Mean pick and
tandem.
roll,
They
yeah.
had a very nice pick and roll tandem.
And I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's ever talked about Powell before.
Dwight Powell, no.
No.
Hey, no
No.
slander.
Shout out
no
Canada. Shout out
slander.
Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
No Dwight Powell slander.
I don't really have anything else to add. Anything else for you guys?
No.
So we'll all
That's
go
pretty much
Luka
it.
Doncic, but Colin will say that without the injuries, he would go Zion.
Yes,
Roman, you're on Luka Doncic
Yep,
train with me.
yep.
But we'll end it there. You can let us know who you would build your team around in the comments or on social media. All the links are in the description wherever you're listening. And we post every single day at the Amateur Sports Podcast. Make sure to follow us to stay up to date with each of those episodes. And we will see you again tomorrow.